Welcome to another live stream with the Artist Forge. With me today is Olga Tanyanin. She's hiding. She'll be here. The wonderful Matt Stagliano, the fantastic and talented Becca Bjorky, and the ever amazing Bassam Sabah. Welcome, everybody. So glad that you are here with us today for this next Artist Forge live stream, the last one of the month, where we get to celebrate the April Challenge. How is everybody today? How are you guys? If you're in the comments, if you're hanging out today, Nina saying hi already. Erica's here. Good to see everybody. Matt Bassam, Becca, how are you? Oh, there's a lovely Kat with us. Hi, gorgeousness.
You guys get shit light today.
We can live with it.
Dark and moody.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Barry. Barry is back with us today.
Hi, Barry.
Hi, Sharon.
Oh, look at her cover image.
Yep.
Becca, your hair. Hello.
That's what I said earlier, Kat. And she was just like, oh, just this? Just this?
Oh, it's nothing.
It's nothing. How is it?
I get to photograph you guys one day. All of you.
If you insist, I suppose.
Let it happen. No, I'm great. Tonight is sponsored improperly by Nighthawk Black. Red wine.
Oh, me too. Me too.
You know, life can be great. It can also be cheap.
Cheap is
That's
great.
how I look at it.
Cheap is great.
Do that.
Oh, Nick is here for the eye candy.
Oh boy. Hi, Nick.
That smoking hot haircut, Matt.
Don't get a cavity.
Hi.
I dig it. All right. So if you are in the audience today, always remember we're here for you. We want to hear from you. Make sure that you comment so we can say hi and share your comments with the world. Obviously, Nina is with us today. It's going to be Matt Appreciation.
Nicole.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your standards, Nina.
Can I ask who's behind you?
It's Olga. She's hiding.
I was like, was somebody on Nicole's shoulder? Like, what am I looking at?
Yes, I have my own personal gremlin. She's gonna pop up and say hi as she feels like it. So I've tried to ply her with booze and it's only working moderately.
Oh, just more booze. It'll be fine.
Yeah. There's tequila downstairs.
Oh God,
what are you
trying to do to me?
And margarita mix.
Go do it, Olga.
She's gonna be.
Sisla just dropped in.
I support it.
You know, Olga looks like she's playing with your hair. Every time she plays with her hair, it looks like...
It kind of does, doesn't it? At some point, I fully expect that to happen.
Hi, Claudia. Hi, Sisla.
Yes. Hello. Claudia here with us. Sisla. We've been talking. Everybody looks fantastic today. Becca,
I love this. Just a Thursday night love fest. And we just sit here and get compliments. I'm cool with that. Like, I got nothing but time.
Add to Olga's glory.
Yes. It's the only reason you're all here today. You're wondering why I brought you here today.
You're wondering why we gathered you today. All right, y'all. So thanks everybody for being here. Let's chat a little bit about our conversations over the last couple of weeks. And I want to know, so we'll obviously talk about today's conversation since it applies to our looking at the amazing work today. But has there been anything that has really stuck out to you guys on the conversation over the last couple of weeks or so? Any topics that just really hit home?
Other than today's, right?
Well, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about
today.
Sharon just mentioned the topic for this month is love. So we're definitely going to talk about that. But I just wanted to see, and friends in the audience, this is for you too. Has there been anything we talked about that has just stuck with you this over this month? I know the discussion on worry was a really good one. We had a lot of chat about that one. Unfortunately, we had to lose Matt for that. But What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
that was a great conversation. It's always interesting to hear other people's perspectives of how they deal with things like worry or anxiety or just doubt in any way, shape, or form. And, I was talking a little bit about how I personally deal with it. A lot of it is writing things down, crossing things off, a very analog approach to worry. But I'm having missed the last half of the conversation. It's always interesting to me to hear how people approach it because we're all different, right? So how is it that, Nicole or Kat or Bassam or Becca treats worry? Does it affect them like it affects me? All right, I'm just fascinated by this kind of stuff. So I missed the last half of the conversation. What did I miss? And that's where you're supposed to check on the replay that are available on Clubhouse if you go to the Clubhouse app.
Say it. Go ahead and say it one more time.
No, I'm not going to say that.
I really like the worry conversation just for like all of the different perspectives. Like one of the big things, like I think Matt brought it up and Nicole kind of echoed, was like writing it down, get it out of your head. And for me, if I write it down, that makes it real because now I have like tangible evidence in front of me that like exists. So I'm like, nope. I just ask myself, like, is this true? What is the worst case scenario? Is this a thing? Yes, no, and go down the rabbit hole. And if it's not true, then I just like, okay, that doesn't exist. Peace out. But the second I write it down or I give it a voice, like that then changes the dynamic, right? So the perspectives of that conversation was really pretty fascinating.
Kat, it's interesting you mentioned that. I write everything down. Like for all my big notes, I have a big legal pad. For all the little like brain stuff, I've got the little pad. And the cool thing about this is when I'm done writing that stuff down, it feels great to crumple it up and literally throw that worry, throw that stress, throw that everything away. It's a very kind of physical thing for me. It's like what they used to do when you write a love letter to your ex or whatever and throw it in the fire. It's the same kind of thing. I get so much satisfaction from crumpling up my to-do list. It's phenomenal. I love doing that.
Yeah, we talked about that too. It was like, what if you need to get it out of your head, right? Like get it away from your brain and out in the ether, then set it on fire.
I can definitely vouch for the setting it on fire thing. We do this as I mentioned during the stream, we do this on New Year's, write down whatever it is that we want to let go of that year that we feel like has been holding us back. And we often like to call them the lies. So whatever lie it is we've been telling ourselves, that holds us back. And then we like to write those down and throw them in the fire, in the bonfire together on New Year's Eve. And it does something. We've talked before also about the importance of ceremony. And I think that definitely plays a role in reminding yourself how important that is. Nina saying, I think the whole talk about just do work has stuck with me lately.
Just do work? Did I miss another talk?
Is that a Kim Kardashian thing? She did. She said.
She did.
She's like, just get off your butt and do the
work. Problem is that nobody wants to
go do the thing. Nobody wants to work.
Just work. I did it.
Nina, can you maybe explain just a little bit more which conversation that was? Oh, just make the art. Yeah, when we were talking about to stop making excuses and stop just go make. Don't overthink it and just get stuff done. And I know we talked about several times, and I've heard this as a photography class in college. I've heard this as a pottery class in college, but it's proverbial at this point. Was pretty much the teacher told the students that they were divided into two groups, and one group was going to be judged on how many pots they made, and one group was going to be judged on making the best pot that they could. And at the end, the students who produced the most work actually also produced the best work. And there's absolutely something to not overworking it and overthinking it and just going and making the work and making it showing up.
Yeah. Creativity begets creativity, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Wasn't that story or example? Wasn't that example or story in the Atomic Habits?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It's been in several places now, and I don't even know at this point which one is true or what. But Anything else before we start chatting about love and then break into our images? Anything else really stuck with you guys? I know the one about worry was a good one. I can always talk about that. But has there been anything else, friends in the audience? What about you guys? Is there anything else that really stuck with you in the conversations over the last couple weeks?
The light is so bad in here. I feel like I'm in a weird 80s movie.
It works with your
It's
aesthetic.
1984.
You know, there were a couple others. Now that I'm racking my brain, I'm going through notes. I'm like, what did we talk about? Right. Saying no, the setting boundaries one was really, really big. And then our 1 or 2 day conversation about luck, you know, and I don't know if we talked about that in the last time that we met here, but luck always kind of fascinated me. But the saying no and the boundaries and hearing how everybody does that and how it approaches, that really just reinforced to me that it's okay to have some boundaries sometime. And that was a good conversation to have too. So outside of love, those little bits of self-improvement, right? And also tackling a concept like luck really kind of threw me for a loop, because where does that play in? Is there luck? So yeah, if you haven't heard that, is the replay up, Nicole, on luck?
It is on Clubhouse for sure. I don't think it's up in the podcast yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's on the podcast.
No, but regardless, it's a great conversation to listen to. It's available, and we'll get it up, you know, on the other places as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm with you on those ones. I definitely have to constantly be reminding myself that no is a complete sentence, just so that I don't constantly feel the need to qualify and to apologize and to try to worry about hurting feelings and to try to, you know, that's a hard one for me.
Yeah, I had an incident this week. I'm in Sarasota, and 3 days this week I'm shooting in Tampa. And on day 3, I'm driving to Tampa, and I'm behind an 18-wheeler that blows a tire like 10 feet away. And I roll over the tire, and it totally destroys the liner on my fender. And I'm like, okay, my tires feel good. They're okay. Like, da-da-da-da. And then I get like another quarter mile, and I can hear like, I'm like, okay, all right, okay. And there's nowhere to pull over, right? Because there's all this construction. And so I like pull off maybe another mile later. And the whole liner of my fender is wrapped around the axle and my wheel well. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to Tampa. That's cool. And I text the client, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. And I'm photographing 6 people that day. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm waiting on AAA, blah, 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 blah. And their response isn't, are you okay? But how late are you? And how quickly can you get there? And I was like, no, I can get there on Saturday. That's when I can get there. Right. And they're continuing to push. Well, we don't want to blow this whole day. You know, it's 10:15. And I was like, nay, Fluffy. No, that's not happening today, because now I have to deal with my car, and I have to wait for AAA, and I have to get to a dealership. So have a seat. Right. But it took some conversation for no to be a complete sentence. Right? Because they anticipated my arrival and like all of these people and all of their expectations. I was like, I don't think you understand. No is a complete sentence. And that's perfectly acceptable for you to say to anyone, whether it's family, friends, clients, anything. The answer is no. Period.
Yeah.
The end.
That's such a great. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But also, man, what a powerful lesson. And I think we were together, and we heard somebody say, if you tell someone no and they start to get upset, just ask them, what is it about me telling you no that has made you so uncomfortable?
Yeah.
And that was like,
preach.
I want to have the balls to say that to somebody.
Oh, bring me the people that want to ask me that.
Tattooed on my chest.
All right, so We had some fantastic conversations this week, obviously, worry being one of them, saying no being one of them, luck being one of them, which I love that one. But love has been the theme for this month, and then obviously the theme for all the amazing art that have been created and shared with us. Oops. Also, Jean is showing, Jean, good grief, I cannot click on anything. Jean is with us today. Hi, friend. It's been a while since we've seen him. Claudia also saying I had a similar situation and I was told I had committed and I was being unprofessional for not finding a way to fix it. And of course, feeling so bad about the whole situation.
Take care of yourself first, babe.
Agreed. And it takes a lot, I feel like, to get there internally, which is a form of self-love, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about love, being able to say no for your own sake, that would be a form of self-love, I would think.
Agreed.
So for those of us who got to be there for the conversation this morning, we initially talked about the fact that love manifests itself in ways we didn't necessarily expect in our work. And I kind of thought that people would begin talking about love as a theme or maybe how they used it in their work. And my brother's here today. Hi, Tom. So as I thought it was going to show up as a theme in our work, and actually what it ended up really appearing as our motivation and our workflow even, and the different ways that particularly as portrait photographers, the different ways that we love our clients through the actions that we complete as a photographer, from the words of affirmation to things like physical touch with a hug or a high five or a handshake, to acts of service and all of these different ways, that these different love languages Bassam was talking about this morning. And those are strangely built into the portrait process, which I thought was so fascinating to think about.
Yeah, you made that connection at the very end, and between Bassam's love languages and what we do as photographers. For those of us that are photographers here, I'm not assuming anything, but that you made all those connections, and it really did make sense. I had been thinking about love as something different than connection and empathy, and as I started to work through those things for myself, I realized when you said it, how many of those things are intrinsically incorporated in what we do as photographers and working with clients, right? So it was phenomenal. I've never read the love language book. I've heard about it a million times. I kind of get it, but after Bassam was speaking about it, I really did want to go back and read that and understand, how do I work, and does that play into some of the things that I produce?
Yeah. Well, I'm not finished yet.
No,
sorry. I was going to say I'm not finished. I just read one of the love languages. I'm not there yet. But Matt, all I was thinking after our conversation, and I would ask you to do that. You probably know them by heart, but all your videos on your website, if you actually go through them and listen to yourself talk about each subject you cover, you'll find those 5 love languages in there.
No kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, cool. I'm a genius. I'm amazing. No, I'm actually that really interests me, because I wrote those videos just inside baseball. Like, those were all read off a teleprompter with some improv. But I wrote those all the morning of filming, just so that I could have something to kind of follow with. And it never occurred to me, there was no real approach to, I'm going to say these specific things. It was really just pouring out, all right, this is how I feel about this particular part of my business. So now I'm really interested to go back, read the book, and then watch the videos as well. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, it just proves that it is inherent in our process. I mean, I love the way things came together. It's something that should be obvious to us. It really was not obvious, and it just came together today. It was phenomenal. Totally loved the conversation.
I missed the conversation today, but one of the quotes that stands out to me in my head is actually Annie Leibovitz. And she says, I can't help but fall in love with everyone that I photograph. Or I think she says these people, right? But she's referencing the people that she's photographing. And that's like 1,000 times true. When I actually give myself an opportunity while I'm photographing my clients to connect with them and empathize with them and get to know them, like, the work is 10,000 times better than when I'm just like, okay, my 9 o'clock is here, like, let's go. And it's true. Like, give yourself an opportunity to love people, even if it's for an hour. And the creativity that comes from that always comes from heart and from empathy, and it's just a world of difference.
So one of the things, Kat, I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that I said at the end of the call today is I had a consultation coming up this afternoon. And of course, the conversation is just lurking in the back of my head about working with love and thinking about love and serving with love and all of that. So the woman that came in is a yoga instructor. She's a local. She's a kind of an associate, not necessarily a friend because we're not really close, but we know each other. And we started talking, and I put that word kind of like a neon sign flashing in the back of my brain, just love, 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 right? And it wound up going from, yeah, we can take pictures, but let's talk a little bit more about you. And she started opening up about why she was doing this and the whole philosophy of her yoga business and everything. And there were tears and there were, things coming out from childhood. And she's talking about all the work. And what she said at the end was, she's like, I don't have anybody in this town to talk to about this. You gave me a space to do that. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was just like, that's the feeling right there. That's the stuff. That's why I do what I do in the way that I do.
Now imagine what it's going to look like when you connect from that space and you shoot. Like, shut up.
And that's the drug that I search for, right? In every single one of my clients. That's the thing that hooks me in and brings me back to that. It was just, Nicole, if I didn't have that conversation this morning, it wouldn't have been so prevalent. I would have addressed it the same way, but I kept bringing it to the forefront, and it really did affect me, and I didn't expect it to. So, damn it.
I love that so much. Also, I would really encourage everybody to go back and listen to that replay, because not only was the conversation fantastic, but we got to hear each other work through this question in real time, and both Matt and Bassam kind of starting off from a place of like, I don't know that love really factors in so much to the work that I do. It's not, at the forefront of the way that I'm thinking. And then as we're talking about it, and I'm like, well, so, Matt, I know that connection is such an integral part of your business. Don't you think that's love a little bit? He's kind of working his way through that thought. I'm like, oh shit, I think it really is. Like, I never thought about it before, but I think it is. And Bassam mentioning those love languages, and then going, oh, wow, look, as a portrait photographer, the words of affirmation and the acts of service and the physical affection and all of these things all of a sudden. And it's like, oh God, it's built into what we do, which is just such a beautiful thing to contemplate. And before we get to the images, I want to poke Becca a little bit, because she didn't get to be there for this morning's conversation, but I'm curious. As somebody working in the opposite direction, so most of the time you and your clients are conversing digitally, right? Either like on the phone or through emails and stuff. Do you think ever about if or whether love comes into play, either in your, in the work itself, or maybe in the process, or how you think about the process, or does it come into play at all, do you think?
I mean, yeah. And one of, I'm losing my voice. Hold on. I mean, one of our conversations, I think it was last week, where we talked about vulnerability. And I feel like that's such a large factor in any sort of relationship at all, particularly like a loving relationship. And if you think about, like a romantic partner, or your parents, or your siblings, or your kids, or, whoever it is, your best friend. I mean, there's that level of vulnerability, right? That you can be raw and emotional, and you can cry, and you can just have someone to talk to. Like Matt was even saying about this client today, where you can be fully raw and naked and vulnerable with them. And that's definitely still a factor, I think, in creating any kind of art, not just photography where you're working one-on-one with a person physically. I mean, if you're writing a piece of music, there's love in that music, whether it's, who your audience is, or who you're writing about, or, something within yourself. If you're illustrating or painting, there's that love too. And I mean, I feel like love is kind of this driving emotion, like biologically, for almost everything that we do anyway. Everything it's either driven by, our need to perpetuate the species or a need for self-love and self-care and take care of ourselves. Like it's kind of this really base factor in everything. And that definitely comes into play with art in any capacity, I think, too. It's all driven. The stories we tell are driven by love to some degree, whether it's familial or self-love or romantic love or whatever it is. So yeah, absolutely. There is love in fully digital communication and digital art and, anything that isn't necessarily a photograph. I absolutely believe that.
I love that. I agree. I was just interested to hear, because I know for those of us who, and I know you experienced this as well, working with other portrait photographers and working with clients, there's an ease that you can communicate with sometimes in person, because all of those in-person things are happening. And sometimes it seems like when we're making the art on our own, sometimes we experience that a little bit differently. And so I just wondered, where you see that coming into play.
Yeah, definitely. I actually read an interesting article earlier about how digital communication, like on things like this or like Zoom, is actually kind of inhibiting people's ability to connect with their coworkers and their colleagues and their family, and actually like puts a damper on creativity, which I thought was really interesting, because we're lacking in that full-on body language kind of tacit communication that we get in person, that you get when you sit with your client in your portrait studio, right? But I think, depending on how you personally communicate with people, there's so much that can be implied even through video like this, where you have some semblance of body language. There is inflection to your voice. If you know how to write well when you're communicating through email, you can have that inflection and that empathy and whatever it is that you need to convey through written word too. I would say it's something to practice. There's probably an art to it itself, but even if there's bits lost per the science, I think you can still achieve that level of vulnerability and genuine human connection if you know how.
Yeah, I love that. And
and if it's honest, right? Like there's a big difference between like the feigned Coca-Cola kind of sweet, drippy, gross, and actual like honest, integral love. And that's felt, right? Like, okay, I get it, Coke, like all one world, but it's different when it's no, you have a genuine interest. And I think that's really where that line is drawn.
And I think we can kind of like, as the artist, right, with the client, I think we can offer up a little bit more of ourselves, like even through, again, like things like email. Like I had a client like a month or two ago, never talked to them on the phone, never had a meeting. They email only. And when I read their book, like I made a point in our email communications to be like, this is what I loved about the book. This is what touched me about the book. This is why. This is how, I felt this on a personal, emotional level. Am I understanding your story correctly before we go on to make the art? And I mean, I could have easily just been like, yeah, okay, we'll do this, okay, bye. But no, I wanted to let them know that I truly understand the emotion and that they're trying to convey through their novel, because then that needs to be displayed through the art. So if we're willing to be that vulnerable with our clients, I think we can achieve that.
I have that like fantasy with musicians that I want to work with. And like, if you will send me like even one or two songs from your next album, like I will go ahead and create this whole thing just because of that heart connection. And I can't do that without examples of that work.
Totally.
Yeah.
I had a similar
write an email now.
Like,
well, that's Deftones. If you're out there, Kat is ready to make art for you.
It's true though.
But it's true. Okay. So I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get to these incredible images. So this month, obviously, the theme is love. We asked our community to either look back through their portfolios or go create something new with love as the theme. We received a lot of beautiful work and asked the community, go and like and heart and comment on the work that you just feel the most connected to, and we'll take the top 5 images. Those will come here tonight. We will look at them, use our visual literacy skills to break them down and try to figure out how these artists made us feel so much with their work. And then at the end of the show, the image that as a group we feel the most connected to will then go on to become the banner image for our Facebook group and interview with Matt Stagliano on the Artist Forge podcast and celebrate you in an article on our blog post. So all kinds of good stuff for the amazing folks. Let's start having a look at some of the images. First, want to encourage everybody and just remind everybody as well, these images are all incredible and have nothing to do. This is not a critique, first of all. We're not choosing the best, right? We're choosing the ones that we're connected to the most. And that doesn't have anything necessarily to do with some random scale or some objective idea of what is good and bad. This has to do with whether or not the artist achieved something that we can connect to. So there's no winning and losing here. I went through that post, looked through and chose the images that had the most likes and hearts. That was the only measurement that we used to get these images. So for the next month, make sure you go and like and heart and show those artists support for the images that you love. All right, it's time to look. Audience members, we need your feedback as well. So we're going to start sharing these images. We're going to spend some time looking at them and then share our initial reaction. And we need to hear from you. So don't forget to be part of that. We are going to begin with this beautiful shot by Sharon Spencer. So go ahead and start by just looking at this image, getting a feeling for how it makes you feel. And then in the comments, just go ahead and share. Don't try to break it down or critique it yet. Just how does it make you feel? I feel like I have a sense of melancholy.
Nina beat me to it. I feel safe.
I was going to go with vulnerable in whatever capacity.
You know those exercises where they ask you to write letters to yourself? Like from the future? Like, dear Kat, you did such a great job with XYZ. This feels like that to me. Like, this feels like the maker was literally like, hey, babe, you're doing okay. I love you.
I got a feeling of just eternity. I don't know, maybe the stone texture, but I felt the feeling of eternity. Not good, not bad, but just locked in forever.
How about you?
Loss.
Loss.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think that's where that sense of melancholy, there's some of it, I think, in what you said as well, Kat, almost as if a different version of you, even this makes me feel like if little girl version of me could see me now and tell me, good job. Like you
I don't even know
it.
if it's little girl version of me though.
No, it's
right?
just
like
that's just me. That's just
yeah.
Like when you mentioned future self, it was weird because I remembered the younger version of me being so worried about where we were going to end up and what we were going to do and are we going to make it and all of this stuff. And I feel like if she could see me now, she would kiss me on the head and say, you did it, we're okay.
You did it, Nicole.
Enduring. Tom.
Yeah,
enduring. That's the word I was looking for. That's the word.
Good job, Tom.
And Jean saying loss and longing because the image above is kind of dreamy. So we have, what about you, Becca? You had a couple in there, but.
Well, just that vulnerable feeling again. I mean, like, it almost feels like in the shower, like naked and wet. I mean, it's not done up and glam and look at how successful and perfect I am right at this moment. Like, it feels very raw.
Raw and open for sure.
Raw and open and surreal, like honest with yourself, whatever that means, good or bad.
Like you can be in the shower, right? Like you kind of, yeah. You're
You
not
guys make
hiding.
me want to go take a shower.
No, for real. I just want to listen.
Wait.
To catch shower?
Solid step shower listener.
Wait.
It's not that kind of show, Matt.
Oh,
Okay,
move
so
on.
now that we have an idea for how this image is making us feel, let's see if we can figure out why we mentioned vulnerable. Tom said some kind of enduring love and loss, passion, nostalgia. Well, it wasn't nostalgia, melancholy, which is kind of a thing. Nina saying it makes me feel safe. Erica saying raw. So what is it that we see in this image that the artist has done? Composition, color, treatment, all of that stuff. What did they do that's making us feel so much?
Well, my eternity enduring, it was that stone texture. It's the coloring of concrete and dirt, and just feels eternal in that. So all of the texturing really sunk that home to me. All the pock marks, all the highlights and shadows really just drove home that this is set in stone, whatever it is, whether it's love or loss, it's just set in stone and is going to be there forever. So that's why that I think that emotion came up, is because of the monochromatic nature of it and all of the texture, right? That just really solidified it for me.
It's interesting. The texture and the vignette for me are a little overdone. And I realize that's like the marriage of the two images there. But it's taking me out of the story, right? Like there's so much story just in the light and the two people there, and all of the vignetting and the stonework and the post-production is taking me out of that. Like the expression on the woman's face at the bottom left is so powerful. And then having the gentle kiss from the person at the top right seems to be at odds with the post-production for me. Yeah, but that's just my take.
I mean, add a few more words. I see an aspect of surrender, submission, arriving home in a positive way, not surrender as in and give up, but more at ease doing it.
Yeah, there's something about having a raised chin and an exposed throat that's really incredibly vulnerable that way. So, I mean, even that part of the body language, I think, I can see that surrender in a way, that vulnerability, and is kind of a surrender as well.
I like that surrender word a lot, Bassam, actually. And so I made a point of not looking at the pictures before because I wanted to just give you the input. But I did see this one and I kind of scrolled past, and I actually thought it was a couple. And again, that steamy shower feeling where I thought it was like through a shower door. And I still like, it's still giving me that impression with all the texture and the dreaminess and the weird things that are happening, like with the contrast because of the texture. And I'm still leaning into that kind of vulnerable nakedness of it. And I think it works with the texture. I don't know that it would feel quite so gritty without it. If it was just clean, I don't think it would have that same kind of impact.
Her facial expression tells me, at least what I see, is it's as if she's breathing out this kind of sense of relief, through her nose. When you just breathe out through your nose and you just close your eyes, I'm finally there. I made it. I
also really, 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 really
tell us how you
want
feel.
to see her shoulder. I want to see that shoulder. Like, I feel like the image is incomplete without just coming down just a little bit farther, because as that neck elongates, right, she's cut off right here. If you bring that frame into shoulder instead of right here, it's going to bring in so much more longing and storytelling just from like that 1 to 1.5 inches.
Yeah, I would put her eye kind of in that that golden spiral area if you did extend it
Mhm.
that way too.
I was
So
I was just
two
wondering
by
that,
three
yeah.
ratio.
I was just wondering that if we were to because we're almost there, right? Like we're so close to almost being there. Golden ratio wise, it's so close.
Yeah.
It's just right here.
Just,
I mean,
just
this is
give me that
super.
throat.
It's kind of super nitpicky. I totally see what you're seeing, Kat, but I'm like, composition is still good.
Still good. We do have a tiny
still
bit of
good.
the opposite shoulder here.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Right.
yeah, didn't
So,
see that.
but we
before.
just don't have this one. And interestingly
Give
enough,
me
as I
that
zoom
front
in,
one.
the chain around the neck.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. That texture takes away from that, and the watermark, clearly. But I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, I think that chain is a really interesting little piece that if I hadn't zoomed in, I might not have
Ooh.
noticed, but that's a really great piece of potential storytelling there.
Wait, Nicole, zoom out. And now zoom back in. Look at that.
Oh, even
Like
just
there's so much story like with the kiss, but there's so much story without it too.
it's definitely one of those shots that I think can speak in many different ways for sure.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about composition, about color, about texture. We've touched on things like body language and facial expression and the situation with the hair looking kind of wet and the feeling of potentially being in a shower. And there's a dreamlike quality to this as well, which I think is really plays into allowing you to add your own interpretation to it, which is great. So Sharon's saying, it's essentially an expression of self-love. I struggled a long time with loving myself and have only just started accepting myself for who I am as a person and artist. And I did take this right after I got out of the shower. Both images are me, which I think we definitely read so much in that feeling of, like Kat was saying, almost letters to yourself. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing it with us. It's a really beautiful, I think, tribute to that journey and being able to give yourself that gift.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
What I really
amazing.
like also is the depth. Sorry, Matt. It's the depth of, like, the fact that yes, it is a kiss on the forehead, which would tell me that it's on the same plane. It should be on the same plane, really, but it's not, right? Which is really, I find really interesting that the upper face is kind of out of focus.
I think that definitely plays into the dreaminess of it for me.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on. Friends in the audience, if you have any final thoughts about this gorgeous shot, go ahead and share them there and we'll make sure to address those. We are going to move on to the next image. This photograph shared by Matt Stagliano. And remember, we're going to go ahead and look at the image, get a feel for how it makes us feel, and then just not try to critique it yet or break it down, but just share our feelings. So when you're ready, go ahead and share those or put them in the comments. When we lost our first guy, all I could think of at the time saying goodbye to him was, well done, my good and faithful servant. And this kind of gives me the same feeling. It's a thank you also.
So I feel a little voyeuristic. Like it's so personal and like so familial and real that I have no right to be here in this room with them.
Same.
Nope. My camera has died.
So,
Sorry, y'all. I will fix.
I'm sure everyone of us that have gone through something like that, which I have also, is just playing that reel in their head right now.
1000%, Basam. I don't know whose dog that is, but I want to snuggle them.
This is my
Can
pug.
you,
She can't
can
breathe.
you-
She's hot.
Can you zoom in on the face, if you don't mind, of the dog?
Oh,
Are the eyes open?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, my poor pug. There we go. Yep, now we're scary. All right, so obviously,
Can we
Does it-
back out, Nicole?
all right. I know this is a raw one, so let's look at what we can. Obviously, feelings of compassion, heartbreak, love and loss, vulnerability. Becca saying voyeuristic. There's a lot here. And of course, as good art does, we're going to bring our own experiences to the table and interpret what we see through our own experiences. So, what do we have to share with this shot? Erica
I
saying
really
feeling as well.
go ahead. I really appreciate the lines on the left and the right side from the slats and the stairs, and whatever the shelving is, whatever on the right, that meeting in the center with the subject, that it all just leads you right there, and it's just so powerful.
I was thinking that exact same thing, Kat. Those lines immediately were the first thing that hit me, just right down there.
I love the photojournalistic aspect of it. Right, very typical. The fact that it's black and white. It's like you're
Well, and
witnessing,
then it's so
witnessing an
blunt.
event.
Yeah, Olga, do you want to repeat what you said also?
oh, I said it looks kind of like the creation of man with the is it Michelangelo?
Mhm.
Yeah, between the two people touching, but obviously the other way.
So one thing that's interesting to me is how wide it is, and I feel like just as a technical necessity that makes a lot of sense. But it also feels very distant in how wide it is.
That was an accident. Sorry.
I really like the distance.
Yeah, it's not a dislike. It's just it definitely feels like removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does it forces you in a way to take an emotional step back and recognize that you are looking at a moment
end of a story, you see the whole story.
Oh, say that again.
Well, it's the end of a story, and you see the whole story of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts about the lines. And also, I really appreciate the fact that we have the brightest spot in the room, that the light is shining down in this direction. And the fact that the pup is there held not only on a pillow, but between two people who are offering comfort. And I think having this in the center, the centered composition, the way that it is, shows how much this pup is the center of all the things. Any other thoughts, guys? I think everybody is looking at this one and feeling their own feelings, which is always powerful, because getting to the age we are now, most of us have lost our beloved fur babies at one point or another, and you get brought right back in.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring the room down, clearly, but yeah, this was about 10 days ago. So the woman on the left is my ex-partner. The woman on the right is the vet that we hired, the unbelievably compassionate woman who gave up her Easter to come do this. There's a lot in this. You guys hit on, I did want it to be voyeuristic. I did want it to be far away, because this was Nora's dog. I got to share her for a lot of years. But it was her dog that she's had since 10 weeks old, and she was 12 when she passed. So I wanted this intimacy with them, but I also wanted to capture the reality of the moment. And so iPhone photo set to extra wide, set back, and the black and white, you mentioned the window. That's exactly what I was going for, believe it or not. There wasn't a lot of I'm going to get this shot. I wanted to capture the moment, and the best way to do that was to be as far away as possible and not be intrusive, and do whatever I could do with the tool that I had in my hand. And everything that happened in that moment happened the way that it was supposed to, and it was surrounded by love, which is why I offered it up as the photo. It was the most real, most authentic thing for me to process. So, yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. I was trying for the lines. That's the benefit of that extra wide lens, right? And to draw you right into that. But yeah, there was a lot there. And I'm glad it kind of came across and showed that other side of what love can be. Tragic, but wonderful at the same time.
Yeah, I love that.
Not wonderful, just tragic. Just tragic, and I want to snuggle all of the pups.
I love that Sharon mentioned the transcendence, and I think that's a really fantastic word for these moments, because like Olga said, it might be the end of a thing, but you're seeing the whole picture. And when you see a love like this, you're also seeing 10, 12, how many years of affection, the results of that, and it's a beautiful thing. So
the last side of that too is, because it was an ex relationship, it's kind of the end of that relationship, right? And whatever, that was the other flip side of the love, right? And while we're awesome, it signifies a moment, right? So yeah, there was all that exploration of it. The more I looked at it, I thought the more this fit every definition. That's all. Let's get to something happy.
Yep. Let's move on to the next one.
I want to see trees.
I know, I has feelings now. Tom saying super real. Suffering with someone else's suffering can be a big part of compassion. Thanks for sharing, Matt. Super great image. Super, super real. All right, moving on to another image picturing love, shared by Ashley Holloway. We'll go ahead and have a look at this shot, and then let us know how this image makes you feel. Make sure you share that in the comments. Give yourself a minute to take it in and let us know how it makes you feel.
Speaking of compassion, but from the other side.
Tenderness. All I feel is tenderness.
So sweet.
It's so cute. That's what all my brain cells are screaming. It's so cute.
Something here also, at least for me, of nostalgia. The way, yeah, I'm gonna want to get into it yet, but the sweet kind of nostalgia.
So I'm staying at my parents' house in Florida, and my dad just came in and was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
I have feelings.
Sorry, Dad.
You tripped and fell into some feelings.
I walked through the spider web with light was in my eye.
Yep, it's the dust.
Yeah.
It's a dusty room. Dust is in my
Push
eye.
him down, cat. Push him down.
Think of England and soldier on.
I see pride in the little girl's face. Like, look at me, Mom. Look, just pride oozing out of her eyes. It's not a picture I would expect pride to be a descriptor, but that's what I see.
Pride.
Claudia
Can we
is
zoom in
saying-
on her face?
Yes, we
Yeah.
will. Claudia is saying pure love, innocence, beauty, and life. So we'll come in here.
And that's interesting. I saw pure terror in the kid's face, but tenderness in the horse. You know?
Yeah, I saw definite like sweetness with the horse, and her like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is happening."
Right?
I would be interested to hear. Oh, really quickly, Erica's saying that the horse's eyes are very motherly,
Mhm.
and Sharon's saying trust, strength, and fragileness or fragility. I think that's a great as well. And interestingly, like I would love to hear from Ashley. The reason being, and she'll have to let me know. This looks like a composite to me.
Mm.
I just
And
saw that right on.
I can't
nose.
tell if I'm wrong here or not, and I would love to hear from her if that is the case. Because if this was shot this way, it might just have to do with the post processing and the really shallow depth of field. But this is this would be Nina has already said it. I can tell you as an equestrian that these people trust the heck out of this horse. I was going to say that I've known horses like this that you could put your baby on a horse, and if the baby wiggled, the horse would stop and wait for somebody to take care of the baby. So it would be great to hear from Ashley, what the case was in this one, but whether this happened on scene or this was a composite image. It's very, very charming. Tom saying,
Now, Nicole,
eating a cute baby and a horse.
right? But Nicole,
Right?
just for photographers in the room, what is it about this image that makes you think it's a composite?
No context.
So, first of all, we have some soft edges and hard edges where they may not always necessarily be. We're missing some of the horse's whiskers where we should kind of see them interacting with the skirt here. We've also got a relatively hard edge on the dress here, and then a soft and blurred edge here, which could potentially be from the back of the skirt, but doesn't seem to play quite as well with the horse's whiskers. And there's a little bit of haloing also, and some softness on whiskers in certain places. So it particularly here. And it could just be the way that the softness is interacting with the background itself. But those are just the things that would make me ask whether or not this was a composite. Whether it is or not, I still absolutely love the shot.
No, I adore the image.
Yeah.
And
Just
I
curious.
actually saw it in between the baby's face and the horse's nose, like coming down the center felt like kind of muddied.
Right.
But I
The
was
shadow
like,
wasn't
oh, I
there
don't know.
like it
I'm
should be.
looking
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
The ambient occlusion is missing, which
The what?
that's a weird term. It's basically when you
Big
have a
word. That
No,
is a
say it
big
again.
word.
have where things are touching, right? And then the light comes in and it's bouncing and it's bouncing and it's bouncing and the bounces change. And so there's less light in these areas where the objects are closer together. So
But
like
what's the word?
ambient occlusion.
Okay, thank you.
Which we'd be seeing in here. Yeah.
Mhm. And
And in
down
here.
at the base near the
And in
little
here.
girl.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And not while we're on this, there's a bit of haloing around that collar on the nose that's a bit brighter than the rest of the horse, right by the nostril.
I just want to go snuggle the horse.
I know.
None
I
of
mean,
that,
baby
for
too,
me-
but I don't like babies.
but I mean, none of that takes away from the image for me,
No,
or
no,
doesn't
not at
take me
all.
out by any stretch. But I was just like, God, did they really get this to happen? I'm that guy going, how did they get a horse to do that?
You worry too much, Matt.
Well, and
Because where the baby is sitting is apples and a carrot.
Nina saying, yep, a babysitter horse. They do exist. It isn't mine, but they're out there. Yes. And then they absolutely are. And this horse could be one. But in either case, that was just a little bit of technique I'm curious on, because I just love to hear from Ashley. Because if it is a composite, it's definitely well done in most of these aspects. If you didn't know what to look for, you wouldn't guess. And whether it is or not, it's just absolutely charming. And I think the clothing that she has chosen for Babe is just perfect. This lovely, rich blue and yellow contrast. So your eyes go down there to Baby. The blaze on the horse's nose that also kind of draws you down to Baby. The way the light is on her face, her sweet little blonde hair, and that pale skin. I mean, surrounded by the life, the dirt, the rich dirt and the green grass. And there's so much in life here. You get kind of a very circle of life thing happening with this is an older horse, and so you have this really beautiful kind of circle happening. So there's just very much in like the transfer of love and life and affection that happens. And anybody who knows, which I'm sure Nina will share also, but anybody who has a deep personal relationship with a horse will know how strong that bond really is, and the tenderness that is there. So I see all of that with the way this image is put together.
Nicole,
Yes.
were your babies blonde?
Oh yeah.
They were so
Just
Yes.
checking.
Yeah, they were little toe-headed babies with big blue eyes, all three of them.
I can smell the fresh earth in this photo.
I
You know what I
know, right?
I guess that's better than
That's-
smelling horse.
Well, I didn't want to go there, Becca, but thanks for bringing up the rear.
Or
baby.
All the manure.
or Olga said, or babies.
That's true. They're
It's all the same. It's
No,
all the
you
same.
know what? When I smell a horse barn, it's one of those smells that immediately catapults me back into my youth. It's just one of those whatever smells, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a little kid all of a sudden, and I can remember being outside of a horse barn.
I can remember being outside of a horse barn, and I can remember immediately going into like archery training as a 9-year-old and being like, oh, yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
One thing that's interesting to me about this picture, before we wrap up on it, I guess, is I feel like this would be a very exciting picture for the child to see. Just like kids' own reactions to photos. Like if you have this on the wall, like when the kid's a little bit bigger, like they're like 4 or 5, like I feel like they're going to invent a story about how this happened, or they're going to ask a lot of questions about how this happened, and then they're going to tell their friends that I have this picture when I was a baby, I was riding a horse, and they're kids. I feel like that would be very exciting with this kind of image, like for the kid as subject to see as they get older.
Yeah.
Instagram influencer in the making. She's a Kardashian already.
Oh,
It's just so cute, so charming, and definitely a very sweet depiction of love, I think.
Gorgeous.
I wish we had more time per images. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next shot. Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing your gorgeous photo with us. It is absolutely charming, just sweet and storybook. And now we are going to look at an image by Nina Covington. Remember, we're going to have a look, see how this makes us feel. and then share our fill-ins.
Wow.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say I feel attacked, but I feel seen. Thanks, Nina.
Scene, faux show. So my mom was planning on coming up in March, and she was like, "Can we do a photo shoot together?" And I was like, "Sure, Ma." And then like stuff happened, and yeah, it didn't happen. But like, holy cow.
This is incredible.
This makes me feel unafraid.
This makes me feel old.
Yeah, that's the scene part.
I feel the infinity of life, just this circle of life. That's all I feel.
It makes me feel hopeful. It makes me feel unafraid.
Makes me want to shave my head.
You don't want to.
No, I really don't. I could mohawk it though.
Tom's saying it makes me feel safe. Yeah, that's I think the unafraid part for me.
I could look at this for hours. This is beautiful.
I'm struggling with. I mean, I agree with a lot of stuff that's been said, but the placement of the hand on the eye, the word restraint comes into mind. I don't like what's. I'm not sure how to interpret it. Restraint. I'm not sure how to interpret the hand on the eye.
For me, when I look at this, what it says to me is stop looking in the mirror so much and worry about what you see. Focus on this.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I get when I look at it.
So across the chest, right, is love. Across the chest is love. And here is, this feels like babe, pay attention.
I feel like it's removing the young, beautiful face. Like I'm reading this as the aging version of the subject. And like it's starting to that youth and that beauty and the makeup and everything is starting to fade a little bit because we can't see the whole face.
That's so interesting.
I didn't get that it's starting to fade. It's more, I've been there. This is where I'm going.
Yeah.
I know where you are. This is just that circle of, yeah, you're going to get old too. Appreciate what you got. And it goes round and round and round and round and round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the contrast, right, with the skin texture, which is intentional, hence the open chest. Like if I'm looking at it from a critique standpoint, instead of here, I probably would have brought it here, because this is more of an example of love, whereas this is pulling you back.
Well, that's what I meant by restraint, and I like what Claudia is saying. Maybe protected, because you know when a mother kind of covers a kid's face so that they don't see something that's either bad or they're trying to cover their eyes, and that's how I feel here. But then the expression on the face is it's not as if she's looking at something scary or bad, or it's.
She almost feels detached from the older hands. Like she isn't necessarily aware of them.
For me, these are her hands. All of these are her hands.
Mm-hmm.
The dark nail polish that is on her and the hands. It says to me, this is this. Don't do this. Like, don't believe what your eyes see. When you look at yourself and you see your beauty and you think that that's what's important, remember that this is what is important.
There's a
Out of your
story.
head and into your heart.
Yeah.
You got it. It says, Nina says you nailed it.
Victory. I don't know why my voice got so deep and mean there, but yeah, at least, yeah, that was how it definitely how it made me feel. And I think maybe because I personally vacillate so much, like watching myself age and seeing those signs as they start to appear and noticing the changes in my body and seeing these differences start to happen. There are times when I look at myself and I look at the gray hair that I'm getting and I look at the wrinkles that are growing and I'm like, this is my life written in my skin, right? Like and there's times when I feel so affectionate toward it and so much like, look at where we're going and all the things that we're learning. And then there's other times I see them and I'm like, oh, it's all gone. Like all the stuff is going away. All the things I used to have any kind of vain pride in, or like slipping away from me. And this hand on the heart from both sides is just like, hey, we live here. And I couldn't help but feel
Nicole,
that. Yeah.
while I can appreciate the affectionate of all the things, babe, that's what filler's for. It just is.
I wish.
Hello?
Yes, honey, what?
What?
Actually, I think there's like Flea Girl. I know something about her makeup. She's wearing black makeup.
You're right.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is.
Yep. I wish I was. I wish I could. I have like the only time people will ever I can get a tattoo and I can get like life-saving surgery. Everything else absolutely terrifies me. So I'd be the person who's like, well, I'm living with this shit because I'm too scared of anything else. I wish I had the courage. But yeah. I love the contrast in this too. Everything about it is bold, right? There's no shrinking from this. It is right in your damn face. I really love that about
Yes,
it.
I do too. And I love that it's not like demure and soft makeup. It's like, no, right? But then you also have like the hands.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helps make the big contrast. If we were looking at the woman from, say, Princess Bride, right, with
Right.
older hands, right, we would be looking at like, oh, the witch. Like, no, you have the witch, and then you also have the witch with this image.
You just made me think, Kat, this is the maiden, the mother, the crone. This is the maiden and the
This
crone.
is all of them.
Together. Yeah.
No, this is all three.
Yeah. And I think there's something important also about the fact that she's wearing these really big pieces of jewelry on her hands. Like there's a power in that also that I think,
Legacy.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
friends in the audience, make sure you share your thoughts. We don't have a lot of time. We still have one more image to look at. So I want to make sure you get a chance to share your thoughts on this image. Sharon was saying, this image says to me, don't believe what you see with your eyes, believe what you feel in your heart.
Nice, Sharon.
We got a lot of
Yeah,
that.
I get a eyes half shut feel from the hand over the eyes, like you're not seeing fully. I really like that idea. Like you don't see the whole picture. I don't know what you think you see. You don't see it all. You still have more to go. Those hands are beautiful. I just love hands and that they represent, and these represent strength and love. I agree.
And I would go back to the comment about you don't see it all, eyes half shut. Like, who doesn't see their parents and their children in that light?
That's a great observation, I think. Any final thoughts on this one before we move to the final image and then discuss which shot is going to go on to become the group banner image?
Bring it on.
Go.
Love it. Nina, this was so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I have all the feelings. Okay, final shot. Let's see. Hopefully Facebook doesn't kick us out for this one. Go ahead and have a look at the image. I'll zoom in a little bit too, because I think there's probably a couple details we need to see close up. And then just friends in the audience today, let us know how you feel in the comments. How does it make you feel?
Wow.
I'm going to start from up here just a little bit.
This
Holy
is the most
cow. Who is this?
This is
Whose image is
Nicole
this?
because she won't say it.
Hey, how's it going?
Oops. Dang it. There we go.
Good. I'm currently going.
I was gonna say the most overdramatic way to stake a vampire, Nicole.
Right?
There's no such thing as an over dramatic way to stake a vampire.
This is like the over dramatic vampire of like, oh, she's not a vampire, but oh wait, there's
Yeah.
more.
Nicole comes flying out of the trees with a whole ass tree. Nina saying the Circle of Life song came into my head. Erica saying, oops, sorry. Sharon saying nurturing. Erica saying exposed. Nina saying the connection of it all.
I love this.
I love the surrender of it.
Been
Like it.
crunch mode right now.
Sorry, there's
Surrender. I love
a
that.
man on the phone next to me. Yeah, it feels like that surrender when you're really deeply in love with something and you give
I have
yourself.
Well, can we talk about the tree stump behind her?
Mhm.
Right? Like this image would be really beautiful on its own without that tree stump there. But that tree stump adds to the story. Like you have this tree stump that's dead behind her, but now there's a tree growing out of her through her. There's blood
Rebirth.
everywhere, but she's
Rebirth.
this like beautiful thing.
So on the back of my arm, I have tattooed "Death brings new life," and that's exactly what sprung to mind when I saw this. Right? You have the death of the old tree, you have the death of the woman, but there's this new life sprouting out of it, and it's just this wonderfully circular kind of notion, right? That
Is that
no
her
matter how
hand
tragic,
behind
there's
her
something
head?
beautiful that comes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Is
her
that her
hand.
hand?
Yeah. She's got her arm back above her head.
Man, this makes me want to watch all the vampire movies.
Tom saying hope and new life. Claudia saying
Hope
life.
a new life with Blade.
Tree.
Oh,
I see abundance.
Olga
I even
just
thought
said-
of
say that again.
Oh, it's
Whoops,
the giving
sorry.
tree. Give everything for the tree. Got the other way around.
This kind of the giving tree in reverse.
Yeah.
The light's really interesting here. It almost feels like it's emanating from the tree itself.
I didn't mean to
Almost.
cut you off,
It's
Basam.
above. It's more like moonlight.
I don't know about moonlight, but
We're gonna fight.
we'll fight. I will
Ambient
fight with your
occlusion?
light. Your light or your eyes perceive light in the dark, cat. Let's go.
Let's go.
Claudia saying sacrifice, like sacrificing life for a new one.
Mhm.
Basam, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I even saw fertility, abundance, renewal, rebirth. Despite the blood and the fact that she's dying, fertility.
Is she?
But-
Eric
you know,
is
if
saying
we-
it feels ethereal.
As we start to look at it a little bit more deeply, that blood runs directly into the grass, which sprouts these red flowers. And there's this constant theme of regeneration that I see in everything, right? And whether it's night and light, whether it's death and life, whether it's old and new, right? There's this constant feeling of regeneration out of all of this. And it ties together in not one or the other, but this is just all of it working together. This is how it is. This is how life goes. And yeah, I really love this, Nicole. And it's great. And there you see the subterranean as well. So there's roots that go down. I mean, it just, yeah, I could look at this for a long time. I really like the way this is done.
Thanks.
Nice job, you.
Thanks. So I'm glad we've got some feelings here. So let's start looking at some of the before, and I can definitely share, I'll share my thoughts afterwards, but what do we think are some of the things that are happening here? We felt new life and hope and nurturing and fertility and abundance, and we have all of these feelings. So what do you think it is we're seeing here that is causing those feelings to emerge?
I don't know that I agree with any of that.
That's okay. Those were just the comments from the audience. So everybody's got their thing.
Like she's nude and there's some top light there and there's a tree growing, but really she's dying. She has a limp hand. I don't know that fertility or abundance would be what I would go, but hope for sure. Like there's definitely hope happening. But the others I wouldn't agree with.
All right, I'll fight you, Kat.
Hit me. Come on, Nika. Let's go.
From the motherhood perspective, and to be perfectly candid about it, I think there is a very difficult to kind of internalize feeling of death that comes with motherhood, a death of yourself, like what you were before.
Sure. Absolutely.
And we're not supposed to talk about that. Motherhood's supposed to be the greatest thing that ever happens to you.
No, fuck all that.
But it's versions of yourself. I mean, you grow into this big, beautiful tree, and you're blossoming, and you're whatever, and then you become mother, and the person you were before has parts of that die. And maybe they come back to life, maybe they're reborn or not, but you now are nurturing with your chest, with your lifeblood, children. And it's a complicated and almost inarticulatable feeling that I think a lot of mothers go through. And I could definitely see that here for sure.
I can get with that. I think the hand is what kind of throws me off. Like it doesn't, maybe it's just like a perspective shift between the hand and the tree. Like you could have all of those conversations be present and the themes run through without the hand and without the tree. I think those become distractions and make things awkward and unfortunate.
Nina's saying, the tree growing out of her made me feel the connection of these two life forms. One dies so the other may live.
Parasite.
Her posture gives a sense
Parasite.
of peace and serenity. No, I mean, here we go. Every act of creation begins with an act of destruction. So, I mean, honestly, you guys really have nailed this, and Becca is right. This image to me is motherhood. That's why I made it. This is what it feels to say, I give everything so this may grow. And you don't always have control over what it's going to be. And there was an important piece to me out of the fact that it's growing from her heart, right? It's growing from right between her breasts in her chest, and the fact that the blood is spilling onto the ground. And as Matt mentioned, it's spawning these little red flowers. There should be a sense of the death of the old and the birth of the new. But some people also mentioned there's a feeling of surrender and peace and serenity there. And this is obviously just my experience of motherhood, but it is that absolute willingness. I mean, her posture doesn't indicate struggle, right? It's I lay down in the grass so this thing could be.
Oh, there's 3 branches.
And so there's, for me, that is she's surrounded by blooming, by life, by grass, by, the sun coming down from above. And, Thomas mentioning also the only place the light is shining is on the tree. If you notice, that's absolutely true. The rest of the grass is in shadow. The light that's around her is the only light that's in the scene. And that was the purpose. I don't remember even what it was that made me feel like needing to create this, but I do remember thinking the birth of new life requires the willing sacrifice of another life. And in motherhood, this is what it feels like you're doing over and over and over and over again, all the time. When you give up your body, or when you give up your career, or when you give up your time, or when you give up your interests, or when you put all of those things aside over and over again so that the other might grow and flourish. But this tree isn't growing without her. I mean, it's growing with her blood in its veins. So is she dead? Or is she continuing to inhabit new forms, and the energy being shared and expressed in other ways, in other lives that will extend beyond her life? So yeah.
It's deep.
Wicked good.
Thanks for the levity.
I think
Wicked
it's just a
good.
hand. Wicked good.
What was that, Matt?
I said it's wicked good.
Oh, and then Kat. Okay, yeah. I was like, wait a minute. All right. So we've had a chance to look at several images tonight. I'm just going to go back through. So we have this one. We have this lovely shot. We have this charming little piece of beauty. We have this deeply emotional piece. We have this beautifully reflective piece. So, Artist Forge panelists, if you had to choose an image that you felt the most connected to, one where the artist just gotcha, and you wanted to be able to share this in the group as the banner image, going up in our Facebook group, having an interview, all that stuff. What do you guys think, friends in the audience today? Let us know.
Yeah, how are we handling voting?
I think we just vote a piece. This is my
Well,
vote.
I mean, yeah.
Nina.
I would say Nina or Matt.
I personally vote for Nina. I think it has nothing to do that I'm up against it. It's just I think this is an incredible image. Absolutely phenomenal image.
Another vote for Nina because she's
we've
so
got-
I'm just trying to picture it as a cover, right? Like it's that 9x16.
Yeah, we'll have to probably add
Like
some.
winner and then write Nina.
Yeah, we'll have to add some
Yeah.
space there. Probably, give Nina a headshot and put her link and everything there. But it looks like Nina is the runaway winner as far as the audience is concerned.
Yeah, us too.
My vote
Yeah.
is for Nina also.
Nina running away with it.
Yeah, crushing it. Absolutely.
Go Nina.
I-
It's your birthday.
I would have to say Sharon is a very, very close second. I love it.
Which one is Sharon?
That
That
one.
one.
Oh,
At least for me, anyways. But
Yeah.
I really
Nina-
enjoyed Matt. I really enjoyed Matt's image.
Thanks
And
for
by
her
enjoyed, I
review,
mean like
Matt.
cried and tried not to cry on screen.
Me too.
These are all
hear Matt interview himself.
would be pretty great.
Everybody wins.
I expected video of that.
The banner. Everybody wins.
So we got to see images about love from many perspectives, and all of them were powerful and clearly well thought out and very intentional and really emotional. So huge thanks to everybody who shared an image this month. Y'all make beautiful things. Thank you for letting us get to partake a little bit in the gorgeous art that you create. And congratulations to Nina. Congratulations, Nina. Beautiful job.
Nicole,
Cheers,
I think
boo.
one of the things, if you go into the Facebook group and you see all of these different interpretations of what love is, that is the essence of the conversation that we had this morning, right? Is seeing all of these interpretations of self-love and tragedy and infinity and protection and tenderness. Like all of that stuff is amazing. And that's why I loved having this conversation about one singular emotion for interpretation from everybody. It was phenomenal. And I think looking through that thread, whether there was color, like Bassam's image had all this color in it, and Sisela's image had this Renaissance pure, romance novel type love, all of it is such different interpretation, but that's the wonderful part about love, is that you can interpret it so many different ways. And I just thought this was a great way to end and look at all these different images. Hi, Kat. I love you too, honey.
But what is next month?
Oh boy.
That is a good question.
I got love and I got hate. We got to, we can't do that.
Next.
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah. What do you think, guys? Friends in the audience, what do you think? What would you like to see as a theme for next month? Love was a
Drop it in the
big one.
comments, y'all.
Drop it in the comments.
Legacy.
Where is? We had
Oh,
a
Legacy's good.
Glitter.
Or
glitter.
glitter. Or
All
glitter.
that is gold
Or
does not
fashion.
glitter.
Fashion.
Glitter's gotten me into trouble on more than one occasion.
Glitter is nothing but trouble, Matt. Just steer clear.
Macarons. I can
Mariah
get
Carey
behind.
would know all about that. Glitter.
Creation.
Creation.
Destruction.
Destruction.
Desperation.
Olga, you're
Greed.
welcome every time. Can we just do like the 7 sins?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, do we
Betrayal.
Can we have
like
just a Brad Pitt year?
God given us
Brad Pitt's
content for the rest of the year.
I mean, does it need to be like a content theme, or can we put a stipulation on the creation of the art where it is less thematic and
We
more?
can do anything we want.
All right,
We are the
Becca.
gods of our own universe.
I mean, can we make it like a digital 3D thing where no one else but Becca can do it?
No, I mean, like, okay, you have 30 minutes. Show us what you made.
Ooh,
Yeah, we can do.
Oh,
We can
yeah,
do
girl.
anything we
Or-
want.
Or like, what was the first, like your first client work or your first art piece ever?
No.
And then you
No,
remake it.
No.
Cat, shut
First
that
art
one
piece
down.
ever was like 8 years old. Nay, fluffy.
That's
But
fine.
30
remake it.
minutes, like, let's go.
I'm just saying.
We can do whatever
Or
we want.
Your first memory.
Oh,
First memory? Ooh.
So hazy.
Come on, y'all.
that.
4, 3,
Any
2,
of
1.
the-
Let's go.
Ayo.
Claudia says any of the elements. I hope she doesn't mean the periodic table of elements.
She means earth,
I
wind,
use
fire.
I know.
Earth,
know.
wind,
Boron.
and fire.
No.
The senses too.
Yeah, we could do the senses.
Can we
What's
do
that?
alcohols like wine,
Oh,
whiskey,
senses are
vodka?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, we could.
Oh, Vice. Vice could be interesting.
Ooh, spice could be interesting. Let's go Dune style.
Dune style. With
I'm
spice.
not even kidding.
No, Vice. is-
We're about to go down to White Sands
Yeah.
the day after tomorrow. So
Roll around in some spice Malone.
Mhm.
Girl, I'm in Siesta Key. I got you on sand.
It sounds like we'll be telling people what the theme is probably tomorrow.
all right, give a vote. What's a vote? What you can create in 30 minutes?
I like that.
like
I think
that.
I like that challenge
How
a
do you
lot.
prove that? How do you
We have to
You
take
do
Okay.
a time lapse
Yeah,
with
take
your
it on
phone.
Integrity.
A contest,
It's integrity.
yeah.
For some,
Okay.
it's integrity. But I,
I see.
think that if we're going to go 30 minutes, then everybody has to participate. All 5 of them.
Okay, I'm down.
Oh. We also have the suggestion of self-portrait. Erica likes the senses. Nina likes 30 minutes.
I'm
Is that
down
what
with
we're gonna go with?
self-portraits too.
Senses.
What do you think? Olga's like senses.
For some people, 30 minutes is an infinity.
Desperation.
Yeah, you click the shutter in a 60th of a second, right?
Okay. Self-portrait.
What
I'm
about
always down
self-portrait?
with self-portrait.
Self-portrait in 30 minutes, Becca.
Self-portrait in 30 minutes? Sold!
Self-portrait
No.
that doesn't have our
Becca's
face.
supposed to get in and out.
A self-portrait that
So-
doesn't have our face.
Mhm. That makes it hard.
Ooh.
Self-portrait
Yeah.
using senses in 30 minutes with no faces. Done.
I already got an idea for that.
Okay.
Nice.
She's like, I already got an idea for that. I'm good.
You literally do.
Olga, can you
Okay.
come photograph me?
Okay, I'm on my way.
All right,
I'm
thanks,
probably the
boo.
closest to you I've been in a while, so
Okay.
we've got all
Self-portrait it is.
self-portrait votes. Yeah.
Self-portraits.
Self-portrait.
Oh, okay. Self-portraits.
Self-portrait.
I don't be dishonorable. Like, nah.
I was thinking if I could use no as a full sentence in this case, but
Like to use no.
I request my no, please. I request.
yeah.
But if everybody can deliver that before the second Friday of the month, I can incorporate that into the self-portrait challenge for the month.
Now
So
there's too
that'd be
much
great.
pressure. Okay.
All right. That is
Yeah.
the end. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Blah.
Take a photo of you and you can be yourself.
Okay. Self-portrait is.
Olga's gonna take my self-portrait
Yeah.
because we're the same person.
Yeah.
So
So
there we go. Okay, all right. It is self-portraits then for May. The theme of May is going to be self-portraits. And remember, guys, self-portrait doesn't have to be taken with a camera. Doesn't have to show your face. Doesn't even have to show you to be a self-portrait.
Can we also stop for
creatively.
5 seconds to note that Nicole is saying that to make herself feel better about taking self-portraits?
Sorry, you throw me under the bus. Catford Coates God.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna turn around and take a cell phone picture of my messy ass living room, and that is a portrait of myself right now. So
Truth.
there
Just
you go.
true.
so do
Yeah.
you.
Come on, y'all. Come on.
All right. All right. Artist Forge community. That Facebook post will go up soon then so that everybody knows. The theme for May is self-portraits, and however you're going to do it. Make yourself out of clay, take a picture of your foot, draw something, take a beautiful portrait in the studio. However you want to share your self-portrait, create that. We are going to go all through next month making beautiful art, and then do the same thing we did today. At the end of the month, sit down together, look at the 5 most liked and reacted to images, break them down using our visual literacy skills, and then give that artist a big fat interview and try to share them all over the place and let the world know how wonderful they are. Jean says, great
When
to
is
see
that
everyone.
due?
Go discover, create, and share. Love you guys. Go ahead and say that again, Kat.
When is that due?
That is due by the last Wednesday of the month because we get together on the 4th Thursday of the month. So that will be,
The
I
25th.
don't know, the 25th, Bassam?
We get together on the 26th, so that would be the 25th. Yeah.
Yep. So to be fair, also remember that people have to have a chance to like and react to your image. So if you wait till the last minute, there is a chance people won't have some time. So get on your horse and go get stuff done.
Get on your horse.
Get on your horse.
Equestrian portraits only.
Equestrian portraits only. All right. So glad to see everybody today. Jean, glad we got to see you. We've been missing you in the mornings. Hope everything is well. Sharon and Claudia and Thomas and Nina and Sisela and Erica and Sharon and everybody who was here today. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your incredible images with us and your thoughts and engaging today. Thank you to the lovely, the talented, our guests today. So grateful that everybody was here and we got to do this. Can't wait to see you guys at the next live stream, which will be the second Tuesday of the month, or second Thursday, I'm sorry, of the month. Remember, next week, it's only going to start being Mondays and Fridays that we get together in the mornings. So don't miss being there with us. We're going to miss seeing you guys. So come and hang out with us. And remember, we will be live in Facebook land on the YouTubes by both the Artist Forge and Stone Tree Creative and Nicole Creates. So we're trying to get out there to you guys in as many places as possible. Don't forget to come hang out with us there. And until tomorrow morning, which is our last get together of the week, go make something amazing. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great one all.
Bye, guys.